John Kerry sparred with Rand Paul earlier today, and as he was testifying before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Rand Paul asked him if he thought that if we don't intervene, will Assad use chemical weapons again? John Kerry guaranteed that he would, for what that's worth. But Rand Paul also asked him if he felt that Americans were ready to go back to war so soon after our still continuing conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, and John Kerry responded.
Let me just point out to you that with respect to this question of Americans wanting to go to war, you know, you got three people here who have been to war. You got John McCain, who's been to war. There's not one of us who doesn't understand what going to war means, and we don't want to go to war. We don't believe we are going to war in the classic sense of taking American troops and America to war. The President is asking for the authority to do a limited action that will degrade the capacity of a tyrant who has been using chemical weapons to kill his own people.
But I think by doing so, you announce...
It's limited.
By doing so, you announce in advance that your goal is not winning.
But that's not.
And I think the last 50 years of secretaries of defense would say,
Senator,
if your goal is not to
people
win,
are asked,
you shouldn't be
do
involved.
you want to go to war in Syria? Of course not. Everybody, 100% of Americans will say no. We say no. We don't want to go to war in Syria either. It's not what we're here to ask. The President is not asking you to go to war. He's not asking you to declare war. He's not asking you to send one American troop to war.
So again, as with our discussion over what exactly the red line means, in what context Barack Obama has used it, we have this debate over the use of the word war. Is this actually going to war? What do you think?
First of all, John Kerry wins on rhetorical grounds because he says, please. This is like a Lloyd Benson moment. I knew John F. Kennedy. You know John F. Kennedy. John McCain, who's in favor of this, John Kerry, and General Dempsey and Chuck Hagel, we've all been to war, son, and we're in favor of this. You haven't been to war. You don't know what war is. We do, and we're in favor of this. And then second of all, when they debated at a different point whether Assad would use the chemical weapons, as John alluded to, Kerry said, I guarantee he'll do it. It's a guarantee. I urge you to go to the classified briefing and learn that. Ooh. Okay, so there are a lot of bitch slaps there and talking down to, etc. But I find Rand Paul's questions to be perfectly fair and saying, so what is your objective? If it ain't war, what is it? And I'm not sure that Kerry has a good answer to that. He hasn't had a good answer to that in 2 days.
So when John Kerry says, this isn't war, we're just going to launch missiles and kill a bunch of people, and I can't tell you how many people or how many missiles, but we're just going to launch them into this country that isn't ours and kill people. So if Syria launched missiles at us, wouldn't we consider that war? But somehow if we do it to someone else, we're just fucking around.
No, but see, that's impossible. I mean, you want to talk about a bitch slap. That's an argument that you cannot refute, because if Syria launched bombs and hit Kansas, Seattle, and San Antonio.
Right.
Okay.
No, but
and they said, no, but it's not war.
Right,
we're just launching some weapons.
We want to send you a message.
Also, it was just it wasn't civilian, it was just like state legislatures. You know, right?
Yeah.
We're not bombing neighborhoods for crying out loud.
We just hit military installations like the Pentagon.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Right. My guess is that we would consider that an act of war. So I think Rand Paul's right about that, and he's concerned that we're going to get dragged in. It always starts with limited, and then it turns into, can you believe these sons of bitches hit us back? Right? And then now we got to go further.
Here's the thing. Look, I agree with Jimmy, but the fact is, it doesn't always start that way. Afghanistan and Iraq, the two wars that have framed everything we're doing here, they started with giant invasions that we said we were going to invade, and then we invaded.
Yes.
Like they didn't start limited and grow, and then we have
there was a no-fly zone in Iraq for a while.
Yeah, and there were no-fly zones in Kosovo, and they worked, or I don't know whether they worked, but I mean, we've had plenty of strikes that didn't evolve into something. The presumption, look, if this evolves, if it really is, this is going to evolve into a war, then it becomes a lot easier to be against it. A classic sense war, old school war, Turner classic wars, classic war. Yeah.
Can I play devil's advocate really fast? Just, I'm sure that some of the criticism of me has died down. I want to reignite it. I think what John Kerry is trying, and I'm not saying I agree with him, I think what he's trying to say is, if we really wanted to go to war with Syria, it would look very different. It would look much more threatening. Like if we actually employed all of what we have, I think he's using the word war in reference to proportionality of what a country is capable of. We could decimate every square inch of Syria if we wanted to. That would be going to war. We could send 300,000 ground troops into Syria. That would be going to war. I'm not saying that that's true. I'm simply saying I think that's what Kerry is trying to say.
I think that this is such a hard issue that I agree with all of you. Okay.
And so that's my problem.
Very bold.
Right. So dropping bombs is war, right? But the flip side is he's basically saying, we know how to do a war. Okay, this is just kidding around stuff. And what John Kerry can't say, but he wants to say is, hey guys, we've been sitting here picking our ass for 2.5 years. If these sons of bitches had oil, we'd already gone to war, okay? Trust me, we're just going to do limited bombing. We got no interest in taking anything of theirs because they don't have anything, okay? This ain't Iraq where we're going to go and get the oil contracts or whatever it is. What we're going to do, get Syria's sand? Okay, no, we're just going to bomb them for a little bit. And so, I know, this sounds hilarious.
For a little bit.
No, but that's literally what he's saying. That's literally.
Is that written in the resolution for a little bit?
No, and so that gets to the main point. So, do I trust John Kerry that they're going to bomb them for a little bit? I actually do a little bit, which is funny. Okay. Because I know there's nothing to take in Syria, right? The corporations haven't called and said, boy, can you really send me the olive trees of Syria, right? Okay, but this conversation is what's so important about asking for congressional authorization. If you don't ask for congressional authorization, you never have this conversation. The Obama administration or the Bush administration says, trust us. Don't worry, it'll be limited. But then the son of a bitch hit me back and it went a little further. We had a no-fly zone, but then he didn't respect the no-fly zone. What were we supposed to do? We had to do a full-scale invasion. But here what they're doing is they're nailing down the Obama administration into, if you're going to take this action, it will only be for this period of time and for this stated purpose. And to get that on the record is enormously important. And that's why this whole process and the asking for authorization is so helpful.